Yo, what's up? It's the Heavyist podcast, weekly worship at the altar of radness. Gary Trelease, how are you?
What's going on? Where's all your hair gone, man?
I've got a new haircut, Gary.
Yeah, it's drastic. I like it.
Well, yeah, it's just, I think I've had the same haircut for far too long. It's not wildly different. It's really just the sides are gone and then the top's a bit shorter and I'm enjoying it. I needed a refresh, Gary.
I remember when I first met you, you had long flowing locks.
Yeah, the long
look
locks.
like a Springer Spaniel.
Yeah, I'm just desperately trying to look young. I think.
Take the years off.
It is.
Yeah,
depressingly so.
That's why I'm just going to shave this off when I turn 40, and everyone's going to be like, "Wow, Gary, you look so young." I'm like,
yeah,
it's all a plan. I've just been hiding myself under a lot of grey facial hair all this time, so that I can emerge from my chrysalis.
That's it. Like I'm in full dad mode right now, and I'm greying at an alarming rate. So I needed to do something to inject some sort of youthful energy. Otherwise, I'll be tweeded out in about 4 years.
I can see you making tweed work. To be honest, man.
I appreciate that, Gary. It's a compliment.
Yeah, you're a stylish fella. I reckon you can pull it off.
How are you, mate? How's life? You just caused a minor tsunami in the house.
Other than just dropping a literal litre of water on the floor just before we started. Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you doing? You all right?
Yes, mate. I am well. We're weaning Maxwell at the moment, so we've been giving him foods. I think did I say this last week? I think I did. Didn't I? Did I not? I can't remember.
You didn't tell Jamie. You didn't tell Jamie that you were introducing your child to food last week.
Cool.
No.
Yeah, that's more
of
a
been that interested.
It's more of a me and you vibe. That is talking to you about that.
I would say so.
Yeah, he's on smashed up bits of stuff. He's mostly wearing it. He's really just accessorizing with the broccoli at the moment. He's not really into the consumption of it, and it is humorous though. It is fun.
Oh, I don't think I could cope with the smushed up banana. Just thinking about it's making me feel a bit queasy.
Banana's not been on the list. Jolene's following a very strict like a procedure. It's like this is that day, then it's that day, then it's that day. And now we're on the point where there's so many rules.
I didn't realise that the cavemen would raise their babies with so many rules.
Well, they did, yeah.
What to expect? Oh, that's a Seth Rogen joke, isn't it? What to expect when expecting on the cave walls. Yeah.
That's really most of what my life's compiled
dedicated
lately.
your entire time to. Yeah, fair man. That's how it goes sometimes, right?
That is how it do be sometimes. It really do be like that sometimes.
Well, I ain't done anything interesting. Yours is more interesting than mine, so.
And mine's literally giving a child smashed up bits of food.
Yeah.
Well.
That's how rock and roll my life is, mate. Don't you worry about it. Well, now, slow down.
Whoa there.
Yeah, this is a great way to introduce people who might not have who've watched the podcast before to us.
Yeah.
Dad Sonny's a dad, and I'm a nerd, and we're here to talk about riffs.
We're incredibly, down to earth humans. We're just being humans. We're out here just surviving, listening to riffs. This episode is going to be fun. We have got a rather large record to talk about. We've got something that's potentially not really hit the mark. That's
not
quite fun to
enough.
talk about, and a couple of little newsy bits. This is, I feel like we're getting back to regular sort of programming now. The world's in. We've got.
I think so. Yeah.
This is a more traditional podcast in the sense than we have been rolling with for a while. So
the machine is
this is fun.
It's got out of first gear for 2025, and
2025 is out.
Album announcements galore all over the place, and new records coming out. This one, should we just fucking jump straight into it, mate? Should we just get stuck into this bad boy?
Let us begin.
I think this is quite the big album. The band are Jinjer. They're a 4-piece groove metal band from Donetsk in the Ukraine. It's their fifth studio album. It's called Duel, and it's released on the 7th of February through Napalm Records. Up front, son, I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if the answer was yes, but are you a Jinjer fan?
No, Gary. I have never classified myself as a Jinjer fan. I have often seen Jinjer t-shirts knocking about, and I've thought potentially maybe, most people wearing them, you probably wouldn't want to look at their hard drive. That's the vibe I get from
this. Is definitely something we're going to have to get into at some point for sure.
Yeah.
Is that sort of element of Jinjer. Like, it's going to make me sound like a snobby bastard, but yeah, I kind of have steered away from them because I didn't think they were cool enough. Is that terrible to admit? I've done it now.
Dude, 100%. Like, if we're coming out saying like Jinjer is the lead record on this episode's podcast, like, this podcast episode, there's no cool points here. We're like, this is something that we simply just have to observe. Like, I think that this band are of such a size, like they're like constantly sort of getting bigger and bigger. They're on bigger slots, and when you look at like the larger metal bands out there, this is something we simply had to get our teeth into just to understand, like, is it good? Like, what is the thing with Jinjer? Because I tell you what I know about Jinjer, what I knew about Jinjer before this, is literally two things. I knew that her name was Tatiana, and that's about it.
What was the second thing?
That they play riffs, and it's a bit I was going to say genty riffs. That's all I know. Genty riffs, lady that is awesome. That's the entirety of my knowledge of Jinjer.
That's fair. I mean, like, I think I, like a lot of other people in the world, probably came across Jinjer for the first time on YouTube when I saw somebody doing like a reaction to that video of them doing a live session of Pisces, which has had a ridiculous level of mileage in reaction videos on the internet. I mean, I typed it into YouTube when I was writing my notes about a week ago, and there was 7 reaction videos to that had been released that day or in that last week. And I mean, that song's like 10 years old, and people are still getting mileage out of reacting to it. And I understand it. Like, the initial reaction is quite surprising. You see Tatiana, she's quite small, slim. She's a very beautiful woman. And she starts off the song, she's singing really soft and really sweet. And then they hit the chorus and she goes into the screams. And I can see why that would get like mileage out of reaction videos, like it's oh my God, like, listen to that. That's insane. But like, those of us who are a bit more tuned in, women can scream. Have you not heard of Candice from Walls of Jericho or bloody Angela Gossow, all these women who've fronted metal bands for a long, long time? Like, it's not like a massive surprise. But I think Jinjer are they're definitely like a viral band, aren't they? They're not like, I mean, I was seeing like people, it made me a bit sad actually, people's stories of going to see Kubla Khan and the amount of mobile phones that are in the air recording them while they're playing. And like Jinjer, I think, are probably in that same sort of situation where they're like obviously quite a viral band. They're something that gets around on the internet quite a lot. But the thing is, they are insanely talented. They're like a really incredible group of musicians. I feel like they've kind of put Ukrainian bands on the map for sure. Like, they've probably been, I mean, I don't know that I could name a second one, to be honest, but they
White
are
Ward?
like, of course, yes, of course, White Ward.
But ask me for a third, and I will
third
struggle.
one, and you're going to really struggle. But like, they are the Ukrainian metal band. They're really sort of paving the way, and they keep getting bigger and bigger slots. Like you're saying, their main stage Download, their main stage Wacken, they're a big deal. And there's a lot of stock being put in them by the industry and stuff. And I kind of I thought it was important to talk about this record and kind of, I guess, break through some of the hype and see, like, is it actually like good? Is it actually legit? Mm-hmm. And I'm I'm going to get right into it, son. I absolutely fucking love this record. I think this album is absolutely amazing. I'm so down with it. Way, way more than I ever thought I would be.
Yeah, this this album just flies out the traps, proper extreme. Like there's loads of blasts in that first track, and it's just very, very intense and brilliant and very dynamic, and it sounds amazing.
It
like
sounds
it's got
so good, doesn't it?
such a lovely, warm, brilliant production job. It kind of almost like it kind of sounds like the Viscera record, like but just
I can hear that.
It's really, really, really cool. Like I just was not expecting to enjoy this record so much.
I mean, I was sure that I'm sure there'll be plenty of stuff for me to get into. They're like periphery fans or whatever. Like I can tell that they've got like decent taste that's going behind what they're doing, but I was not expecting to be absolutely like fully sucked in by this album. Like I think this album is incredible. Like I think it might be because I saw a bit of an interview with the bass player on YouTube, and he mentioned that like riffs on this record were literally written while bombs were being dropped by Russians on Kiev. Like the guitarist literally like he hears shelling and he gets his guitar out and starts writing riffs. So it's pissed off. It's got so much aggression and anger and like attitude going on in it. Like and I wasn't really expecting that. Like I know I'd come across singles and stuff in the past, and I'd listen. I might have even. I think I listened to the last record in full, like on the day it came out. I just remember being like, oh, there's all the bits are kind of there, but it didn't. Nothing felt like a cohesive like idea as such, or they had. Oh, we can do these really good like digga da digga da digga da digga da like bouncy riffs. We're good at them. We've got really good choruses. How do we kind of pull it all together? And it just feels like on this album they've just kind of unlocked it. They've found the key and they've unlocked what all of the elements that they had going for them and managed to really solidify it and turn it into like a proper finished product. I love that.
Yeah, like when it's hard, it's really hard. It's like the production, such a sort of gorgeous example of a modern job that's warm and weighty, but the drums really pierce through. Like there's that snare, they're like tuning it in, like they're not going full on like slam monster snare, but it's on that angle.
It's
like,
definitely got a pong to it, hasn't it?
Yeah. There's like it's got like half a bin lid in there somewhere. It's not quite there.
It's double tracked. One snare, one bin lid, and then you just double track it the whole way through.
But it's interesting, and it's like it's engaging. It's very like I say, just incredibly dynamic, and there's things about it that I like. I would say that there's there's like parts of the record where the sort of the ratio, the balance is out for my tastes. Like I think that there's like, but the thing is, she's such a good singer.
She's incredible.
You can't like any of the passages that when she's doing anything, it's never bad. It's never like, it's just maybe there's a little bit too much of it there for my liking. And then
I think the thing is
there's
like
loads of tracks that like don't do that. Like Fast Draw, that track, like that's just a straight up ass ripper, dude. It just beats the shit out of it. Like it's so cool, man.
It's got like a hardcore vibe, Fast Draw, isn't it? Like it's got like a D beat energy. There's a few tracks on it where there isn't even like a chorus in it, which is something that really surprised me. I wasn't expecting that. And like having listened to bits and pieces of their other material, what I was quite surprised by is like previously I was like, she's an incredible singer, but her screaming is quite flat. But on this record, she's managed to find almost as much dynamic like range in her screaming as she has in her singing, which makes it so much more engaging and so much more interesting when it's heavy. And that coupled with how incredible the bass player is, like as part of the same interview, he mentioned that one of his biggest influences is Ryan Martini from Mudvayne, and I can hear that all over this. It's like the hand and the slap and pop, and whenever there's like a discordy bit, like he's there going meow, like doing it on the bass as well. Like it's so intricate. Him and like the rhythm section in this band are like one of the sickest I think I've heard in modern metal. Like they're so in the pocket with each other. It's incredible. But yeah, obviously the star of the show is Tatiana. Like she's got incredible range. Her hooks, there's so much sass, so much attitude to her like vocal hooks. Like what's the one where it starts? It's Green Serpent, and it like it's that like there's the multiple lyrics about wine on this record, which I thought you'd appreciate. One of them was one of them was like drowning in wine, which when I heard it, I was like, that's how Sonny wants to go. That's how Sonny wants to go.
Yeah.
That's how he wants to leave this planet, is drowning in wine. But yeah, the Green Serpent, like there's so much like finger wag and like just attitude all over that. I love that. I think it's incredible. And I think that was a single, which is really interesting choice, but I guess it makes sense for them to kind of, because I think also one of the singles was Rogue. Like the opening 3 tracks on this record, absolutely slam. Like just the back-to-back of Tantrum, Hedonist, and then Rogue is awesome. There's so many big, fat, chunky riffs and really great chorus moments. That's hardest, like really real arse beater breakdown in Hedonist, which I thought was incredible. Really loved it.
Yeah, man, that like finale where it's sort of this proggy sort of melody that weaves into like a sick ass breakdown.
Yeah, just the way it kind of like drums, just kind of comes, emerges the way it does. It's so cool.
Yeah, the drummer's just having an absolute laugh with this record, man. He's killing it.
Don't you love when he does that thing when he goes like on all of it? He might hits every cymbal in like a tenth of a second. I love it. He does it. He uses it quite a lot, but I don't blame him because it's such a sick skill. Honestly, if I could do that, that would be all I would do. My drum beats would be just like I do everyone's headed by the end of the first song.
Just,
but
that's the Barry Allen. He just
absolutely, man. It's
I'm in, man. Like I say, I think it was an interesting one. I'm glad that you said let's listen to this for the podcast, because I just think it's like important for us to have a look at when you're talking about like a band that is getting bigger and bigger and are like, you know, one of the larger bands in the sphere. Like, just want to understand, like, as this, you know, this is their new record, like, are they like slowing down or becoming more accessible, or like, you know, stripping out like challenging or extreme moments for like sort of this, you know, this leveled out like boring shit that would just, you know, hook in more people.
And absolutely nobody would have judged him for that. Well, I mean, we would have judged him for that, but like it would have been totally the obvious thing to do. Yeah, sure.
Standard trajectory business that you could not knock them for because they want to make money. And it's really, I'm really happy to say that I don't think that that's what's happened with this record. They've made an interesting, dynamic, heavy as hell record that rules. Like, let's say that I think I do have my problems with it, but I think I have problems with a lot of things that have sort of proggy elements, because I feel that a lot of the time they're like the sort of the vocals are sort of sometimes they're too stuck in the storytelling and like they're getting syllables in there. Yeah,
and they forget to write a good hook
at the detriment of like actually having hooks. Like, you know, you can't all be Maynard, and like it's not that much on this record. Most of the stuff I'm really into, and I think if you look at it as a whole and you look at like how many cool heavy parts there are, like I think it's a really well-rounded album. Like I'm
absolutely,
genuinely like really like stoked that we listened to this, because
good.
It's, you know, they're a massive band. They're a band that like realistically will come up on playlists for like younger people getting into heavy music, especially like females seeing like Tatiana and being like, you know, just checking it out. So I think like if we're talking about like, is this band like becoming a gateway band to like heavy music, then like, are we happy with that product that they're like going to get people hooked in on? And absolutely, like yeah, for sure. Like this, I'm stoked, dude.
Yeah, man. I totally agree with that entire sentiment. Like, it's really nice to know that a good gateway band like this are legit. Like, they're not just, you know, cranking out bloody EDM with their laptops and putting some guitars over it, like bloody Bad Omens or something like that. Like the other sort of stuff that's out there that is drawing people into heavy music. Like, Jinjer are legit. Like, this record absolutely rips. Like, I'm so much more into it than I ever thought I possibly would be, which is completely. This is going to stick with me. Oh yeah, I'm sure of it. This is going to be a record I'm going to come back to. Like, I just love the attitude in the vocal. Like, there's so many great hooks. Like you're saying, like, you know, it's not like a sort of standard, like, here's a chorus, here's the heavy verse kind of idea. Like, it's more meandering than that,
the compositions are very sort of proggy and cool and like engaging. It's not just like verse, chorus, verse. It's not just. This is what I thought genuinely, and this is like really like cynically. Like, I thought it was going to be big genty riff, verse, chorus, big genty riff, breakdown, donezo. Like that's in my head what I thought they were up to. And
you were expecting a Spirit Boxy kind of vibe, weren't you?
Yes. Not to say that Spirit Box isn't awesome.
No,
but
Spirit Box rule, but that same sort of idea.
Less challenging, sort of like compositionally.
One thing I do have to bring up though is that album cover. That album cover looks like it came from a band on This Coming Strife, right? That is so like MySpace metalcore, just a picture of some bullets on a bright background. Like I understand I'm sure there's a message to it, but like it was proper Route One, and that did bug me that it had a really low quality front cover. I think, but you know. Front cover aside, it's an absolutely wicked record. I'm really down with it.
Yeah. I implore anybody that's sort of never really delved into Jinjer, and I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't have. Like, if we didn't, I'm sure but there's a bunch of people that hadn't.
I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who are as cynically minded as we are, who would just assume, based on the trajectory that this band has, the slots that they're kind of filling out and stuff, that it would be cynical. It would sound as cynical as you think, but it doesn't at all. It's sick. Yeah, Duel by Jinjer out on Friday. I really strongly recommend that you go and check it out. It's wicked.
If you'd have told me 3 weeks ago, Great American Ghost and Jinjer are going to release records, and you're not,
which one are you going to love the most?
Enjoy, and one of them you're going to think's awesome.
I'd have bet my house, Absolutely.
So,
yeah, man.
So,
Tragedy of the Commons by Great American Ghost. We've talked about this band a lot. A 5-piece metalcore band from Boston, Mass. This came out on the 31st through Sharptone. And like, I want to just make sure that before we start talking about this new record, that we really give this band like this. We'll get into it. But like their sort of discography up to this point, Power Through Terror, Hatred Stems from the Seed, and the Torture World EP, incredible back catalogue of music. If you go back and listen to our old episodes, none of this, you'll have to go into the podcast rather than through YouTube, but you can go back and you can listen to what we said about those records at the time. We absolutely bloody loved them. And we've also been to see this band a couple of times live, and live they are incredible. Like Ethan, the vocalist, is one of the coolest frontmen I've ever seen. And I have seen that guy win over the shittest audience you've ever seen in your life in Southampton, because all audiences in Southampton / anywhere in the South Coast are fucking terrible. And I've seen that guy turn it around, and honestly, he deserves a Nobel Prize for pulling off what he did that night. I think, I just really want to be upfront and say, I think that Great American Ghost are sick. And honestly, this record hasn't changed my opinion on them as a band. I'm still with them. But this new album, Tragedy of the Commons, is... It's oh my god, where do I don't even know how to start. Can you start? Because I don't know how to start.
I feel like they have made, so where they have been on a slight evolution, and they have boosted that evolution quite dramatically on this record. So they've been injecting sort of chorus elements and like melody to very good effect up until this record. We were kind of calling them like Fit for an Autopsy Junior, right? We've said that a few times. And
that's definitely been
that's kind of like, where we've been at. And I think it's been very successful up until this. And this record has such an overwhelming amount of that. A lot of this, a lot more singing, a lot more like music for people with like dyed hair, that sort of stuff. Like the crowd that like they previously were servicing is not really what this record is not the people that this new record is servicing. No. I feel like it's not quite the left turn like Within Destruction did. Like it's not quite there.
No, it's not as bad. Also, no, it's nowhere near as bad as that.
But it's also not really helped by a really sort of oddly underwhelming production job from the GOAT. Like, this is a Will Putney produced record. He's done their other stuff, and like, so there's this sort of like homogenized sort of aspect to the production where none of it really sounds that heavy. And I think it's like this, there's a sort of a leaning in this record into like a more sort of like mechanized feel. Like there's sort of like an electronic sort of mechanic sort of vibe that can work very, very well. Like if you look at the like the Candy record, for an example, that was fantastic. And also something like, or you go all the way in, and you go like that. Remember that band Autark, where it was like proper like space robot,
I remember,
black
like
metal,
really like crazy, yeah.
So there's ways that sort of element can really, really like perform. But I feel like in this context, it's just not really. It's sort of taken the life out of everything and brought everything down to this sort of level. And then so you've got that production job, and you got to remember, like, Will Putney produced like the Knock Loose record last year. Like he's produced some of our.
He has produced.
Did he not?
He produced like Different Shade of Blue, and yeah, he's
right. But like
last few Acacia Strain records, and I don't know. Sometimes I kind of feel like Will Putney's got to a point with his records where he's got bored of doing what he does and making them sound great, and now he's like experimenting, and some of these experiments aren't necessarily quite landing. Like I absolutely agree with you that this is it's so thin. Like the record just sounds really thin, and the trouble is what I think has happened is there's a move on the part of Great American Ghost to try and appeal to more people. And as a result, I feel like they've probably actually had the opposite effect on what they're doing, and that they're not going to appeal to the people who were there in the first place. I just think there's an attempt to like, be able to go out on tour with a deathcore band, or be able to go out on tour with like an Architects or something along those kind of lines on this record, because there's like a divide, because there's still some hard bangers on the record. There's still some really amazing tracks. Like Forsaken is incredible.
Hymn of Decay, I love.
Hymn of Decay, God is a Loaded Gun. Like there's loads of really good stuff on there. It all doesn't come together very well, but then there's also some really, really like dull songs, like Chapel Paralysis. Like that is bad. That's just literally that's a bad song. Like it's just a real shame that a band who they were one of the things I was most excited to hear in 2025, the new Gag record, and it's just like, all right.
You know what it is? Okay. It's like when you go around someone's house. I take the most minute amount of milk in my tea. Like I have it just basically as a colouring. Yeah. And it's like when you go around someone's house and they've like made you a cup of tea and they've been around, they've gone off, they've been taking ages, they're coming back with biscuits, like they've got the good obnobs, like everything's looking good. And then when they give you it, they just pour in like they just pour in like a cup of milk, and and you're just left with something that's just not great.
Is this tea? Is this just watered down milk at this point? Yeah.
Yeah, who is this for?
Watered down milk. That sounds a bit harsh to describe this record as watered down milk.
Well, I was saying tea that's, weak tea, maybe.
Yeah, it's just a disappointment. Like, I'm sure if I had no expectations and I came across it, I'd probably be like, this is a cool record. I like it. But like, I was so excited about this band and this record, and the singles, like basically the singles that I'd listened to are two of the fattest bangers on the record. So I was a bit like, oh, this record's going to absolutely bang. Turns out it's actually quite forgettable, which is a real shame. Yeah. But like I say, I'm not writing off the band. I'm still like next release I will still listen to. I'm still keen and excited to hear what's going on with them.
Yeah, and it's like not as if like the singing is bad.
No,
like the singing is really good. Like when it's handled well. Like I was just saying that Hymn of Decay, that the sort of halfway to the end, it's like got a bit with like a really like soft songs part that like goes into a big ass breakdown, and that really, really works. There's like a soft song part, a massive breakdown, really cool riff, and that like really works. Like I feel like they're just not really nailed what it is they want to do on this record.
I think you're right. Like I think that they could carry on mining this kind of area of sound, and they could get better at it for sure. Because I mean, go back, even if you went back to like their first album and then you listen to the Power Through Terror, like the difference in quality from one to the next was enormous. So I do believe that, you know, the next record after this one, even if it is in the same sort of style as this one, has the potential to be an awesome record. Like, I don't want to write this band off, and if they come to the UK, I am probably still going to go because they're such a good live band. But yeah, Tragedy of the Commons, just not the one for me, unfortunately.
Yeah,
bummer,
dude.
Let's talk about something positive, Sonny. Let's talk about something positive. You got some brutal news nuggets to share.
Yeah, man, some little nuggets of news.
You're going to start with this absolutely outrageous Black Sabbath show,
mate. The Sabbath show is unreal.
Poster is just, honestly, doesn't feel like that's real. Like that's one of our like fantasy booking posters, isn't it? Like, holy crap! Like, what is going on with that lineup? Jesus Christ!
This is absolutely stacked as hell, man. Like, I know everyone's talking about it in the Discord, like saying that basically it's going to be one of those things that every single person you know wants tickets to, and like no one's going to get it. It's brutal. It's a shame that it's not like 7 dates.
Yeah, it should absolutely be a week, shouldn't it? Like, Aston Villa could, you know, they could go play somewhere else for a week. I was like, go do something else because this is more important. Like, it's ridiculous. Black Sabbath, Ozzy Osbourne, Metallica, Slayer, Pantera, Gojira, Alice in Chains, Hailstorm, Lamb of God, Anthrax, and Mastodon. And then you get into like the special guest bits and pieces as well. Like, the one that stood out to me, of course, was Fred Durst. I don't know what the fuck he's doing. What's he doing in this event? He's on the Black, isn't he? Bloody hell.
I don't even know, bro. I don't even I just wonder how they're all going to weave in. Like, are they going to be like, is there just going to be like a different guest on like different tracks? Like,
God, is he going to do? He's going to do Behind Blue Eyes. That's an Aussie song, isn't it? Is that right? Don't make that up.
I don't know. I actually don't know.
Isn't it? Isn't that an Aussie song? I've just completely had a
minute. No, it's The Who.
Oh God, what am I thinking of? Do you know what I was thinking of? I was thinking of Ozzy and Kelly doing changes. I don't know why. I don't know how I've confused the two.
Well,
oh dear.
Yeah, it's just absolutely. It's just metal Christmas, isn't it? But it's more than, it's like metal. I don't know what. Like Christmas, but if Christmas only happened like once every like 50 years.
Just once. Just Christmas just happened once. And that was it. That was a lot. Yeah, because this is supposed, I mean, there's been a lot of last Black Sabbath shows, but this is supposedly the last ever Black Sabbath show. Full original lineup. Back in the ends, back in Birmingham. Yeah. This going to go on. Tickets go on sale on Valentine's Day, so you know, don't expect too much attention on Valentine's Day, ladies, because all your men are going to be trying to buy Black Sabbath tickets.
I got to see. So I went to a couple of downloads, and when it was like back to back, like one of them was like one of them was Black Sabbath, and then the next download was Ozzy. So like, I've seen.
Was that when I've
sort of made
with rain?
Yeah, when it was just insane weather.
Biblical,
like I've like had my send off like with that, so I'm kind of happy. I'm not going to be like clamoring or like absolutely just clucking if I don't get a ticket.
You know them things going to be expensive.
They're going to be spenny, bro. Yeah. Like when like a show where like Metallica's a support.
Yeah,
that's going to be mental money.
Yeah, that is.
Like,
never think of it like
you
that.
could probably buy a car for whatever you're going to pick up a couple of tickets to this for.
100%. Yeah.
Like, so I'm not going to kill myself over getting a ticket. I'll have a go, but it's just crazy.
I'm not crazy that something like that's going to happen in the UK. Usually those sorts of crazy events happen in America. Like, you think about the one that they did for Chris Cornell, you just hear about like all of the famous different things, famous people that were there and the different things that happened. And, you know, and even like when they did thing for Taylor Hawkins and all the crazy stuff that happened at that. I mean, obviously, most of Black Sabbath are still currently alive, so we're not like eulogizing them or anything. But those sorts of events only ever usually happen in America because that's where all the people already are. And to try and get all of those sorts of those famous people in one place at one time is like a logistical nightmare. But it's easier if it's close to their house. So the fact that it's happening in the UK is just crazy.
Yeah, man, it's interesting.
Yeah.
I am
last ever Black Sabbath show. Going to be mad.
the good. There'll be like there'll be like a massive thing for you to like be able to stream it or watch it.
That
like,
sounds more appealing, actually. Watch it in the comfort of my own home, just stream it and just kick back with some brewskis on the sofa. Like, I think that'd probably be better. Yeah. Maybe I'll take the TV in the garden and watch it outside. Get a really, really long HDMI cable and watch it in the garden.
That's it, man. Just like get the bloody, just like barbecue oven it, couple of sausages, couple of cans. That'll be the way.
Yeah. In fact, if that works out, son, if we can do that, come to my house. We'll have a barbecue and we'll jam out. It'd be like like when you hear your parents talk about like Live Aid and how amazing Live Aid was when it happened. This is going to be our Live Aid, mate.
Yes,
this is going down.
It will be.
It's going to be. We're going to tell the grandkids about this one.
100%.
Also, you got a couple of singles you want to talk about.
Couple of singles. So, Jivebomb.
Yeah, Jivebomb.
Jivebomb have got a new single called Survival Ain't Tough. They're going to be having a debut album coming out on Flat Spot Records, and it's going to be called Ethereal. It'll be out on March the 28th. And I think this is a really interesting single.
Yeah,
it's quite a pivot. It's like they've been a band that have been very sort of like punk forward. Like there's very, 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 very
scrappy.
Very scrappy. And then this track feels like death metal vocals and turnstile riffs, and like it's
Devin Swag fronted Turnstile is one of the vibes that we're getting from this, and I'm so into it. And it's absolutely sick.
It's interesting. Like, they're not a band that I've been like, oh my god, I can't wait for a new Jivebomb single. But like off the back of like just seeing this sort of weird pivot, I'm really interested to see like how it works. Like I want to listen to the rest of the record and get a feel for it. Like, is it a silly move? Like, it sounds like, let's be honest, it's a little bit silly at first. Like,
it's quite silly, but I'm into it.
But once you're into it, like once you're in, I'm like, yeah. I mean, it's undoubtedly very hard. So
yeah, man. Like, embrace the silliness. We're all silly billies here, mate. Let's get stuck into it. Like, you're absolutely right. Like, Jivebomb are one of those kind of bands. There's so many of them out there. I mean, Scowl, they're a band that you hear the name of all the time. That like you listen to, you're like, yeah, it's all right, but like, just lacking in any sort of real creativity to my ears. Like, it's good, and I'm sure that they're really fun and great live, but I kind of need something a bit more. And crazy death metal vocals was definitely a move that I'm keen on. If you were going to try and win me over, that's the way to do it, is add that into your sound.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm keen to hear what the rest of that record sounds like. The other couple singles that have come out are by Wounded Touch, which is awesome. Wounded Touch are a sick metalcore band that have been killing it for a while. They've been putting out they put out a cool split last year with Full 50 Feet that was awesome. Their previous stuff we've always really enjoyed.
Yeah, American Anxiety, that's really cool. Is that an EP or an album? I think it's an album. The Wounded Touch they're really cool. Like, I feel like they're kind of maybe flying under the radar a little bit more than they should be. Like, they're a really exciting sort of chaotic metalcore band, really like with it. I think this is like a 7-inch, isn't it? Like a double A side single type thing, rather than part of any bigger release.
No, so it is. It's going to be. So they're on Smart Punk Records now, and this is like a double single that's coming out ahead of an album. The album doesn't have a date yet, but it is called A Vivid Depiction of Collapse, which sounds lovely. 2 singles, Collar Radio, which is great, and The Damning Variable. Yeah, always really, really enjoyed this band. Like, I felt like there was a bit of an old Norma Jean upturn in these singles.
The fact that one of the singles is called Collar Radio is hilarious, because that's just the aftermath, where it's just like the high, what they call it a spoonerism. Is that what they call it? Portmanteau. It's all the portmanteaus, isn't it? It's just, and the fact that they've used a portmanteau in a song title is like, yeah, it's got such like old school, like Josh Skojan era Norma Jean vibes about it. Like, that's sort of the scrappy, like Larry kind of churning style of the riffs that they've got going on. Like, I think this is a really, really, really good move. For Wounded Touch, because they were kind of a much more sort of chaotic and a bit wild. Like, the vocal style is still just as wild as it ever was. Like, the guys are absolute rabid beast, and I love that. But like, musically, there's kind of a bit more to hold on to with these singles than there maybe has been in the past for someone who's not like dyed in the wool mathcore nutter like me. Like, these singles are really, really cool.
Yeah, and like, you know, mathcore as a genre is very much usually very stuck in its influences, and there's a lot of bands that sort of circle back to these same sort of influences. And I feel like, you know, for as much as everybody still adores and like takes every chance to talk about, like, oh god, the Aftermath, like, it's not necessarily a sound that's been replicated to the nth degree as much as a lot of other sort of influences in that. Definitely. But like, we love Ion Dissonance, but how many times have we said this band sounds like Ion Dissonance in the last like 5 years? Like, it's, you know,
Tony Dan's a tap dance extravaganza.
Down to
even Dillinger Escape Plan, like the stuff. And it's been a while since we've kind of, because there was that like kind of much more like post-hardcore sheen to everything that Norma Jean did. Yes, it was mathy. Yes, it was metalcore. Yeah, it was aggressive, and it had its sort of frantic edges, but it had this post-hardcore kind of vibe to it all. And I feel like Wounded Touch are kind of trying to tap into that a bit more. And like, in a year that we're probably going to get a new Poison the Well record, like, I think it's a really good time to like make that shift and kind of mature your sound out a little bit, like, without trying to sound like a wanker, like maturing, like, fuck off, yeah. But like, that is kind of what's going on with what's happening in these 2 singles, isn't it? It's hard to deny that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Good, thank you. Make me feel better. But yeah, these new Wounded Touch singles are very cool, and I am keen on this album that I didn't know existed until you told me 2 minutes ago.
Hell yeah, bro!
Absolutely sick, mate. Absolutely sick. Good show. Even though we had to be a bit down on the Great American Ghost record, it's a good show. Loads of good stuff to listen to.
Yes.
Get out there, check it out. If you're here because you Googled Jinjer and we popped up, hello, nice to see you. Hit subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment. Come and join the Heavyist community. Come and get into the Discord, because we're all really cool in there. Come and tell us why we're all idiots for not being into Jinjer for longer. That'd be cool. If you disagree with us about Gag and you think the album's amazing, tell us we're idiots for that. Like, mainly, I just want comments saying we're idiots. Just give us as many comments, because I love it. I like being told I'm an idiot on the internet. It makes me feel really good.
You're incredibly studious.
I'll take either. I'm not a hard man to please.
Hell yeah, bro.
And we'll see you all next week.
Bye-bye. That's your thing. I can't copy that. Sorry, Gary. I'm going to take that back.